Hi, and welcome to another episode of Matt's Garage. This is Chewin the Fat with Matt, my sort of midweek break where I talk about the build, answer questions, ask questions. And you can see I'm not actually in Matt's Garage for this week's Chewin the Fat. I'm in the swamp, Washington, D.C. I'm here on business. I'll be back home tomorrow. A shout out to Phil Nelson because he gave me the motivation to go order a 240 volt shop heater. So that I got the notification, that's at the house. So I'm going to install that. Hopefully that'll keep the garage nice and toasty while I'm working there, or at least comfortable. And then the other thing is, depending on how much power it puts out, I mean, it's a 5,000 watt heater, so I'm assuming it gets it pretty warm. I'll be able to roll my like axles and stuff over near it when they're ready for paint, get them up to temp, roll them outside, shoot them, bring them back in, close the garage door, and let them flash off in the garage under the heater. And that way I'll be able to keep the two-part catalyst action going. I've also rolled everything under the Bronco or put all my body panels into the Bronco because it's winter, and if baby want to park inside, baby gonna park inside. You know, the Mrs. Matt's Garage has been so supportive of this whole venture, so I'm making sure she's able to stay comfortable in the winter. I'll just pull her car out, do my work, clean up, and pull it back in on the days I'm working on the Bronco. Last time you guys saw me, I was tearing apart a 9-inch rear end, the Ford 9-inch rear end. And after that, I ended up trying my hand at the Dana 44. I got most of it torn down, but I can't get the axles out of the knuckles. And there are these little nubs that are on the ends of each of the U-joint caps. And I don't know what they are. But thinking about them, I'm thinking they might be Zerk fittings that have just worn down to the point they don't look like Zerk fittings anymore. Grease fittings, sorry, I call them Zerk fittings. So if that's the case, then I'll be able to take vice grips and screw them out counterclockwise. If they're not Zerk fittings, I'm just going to take an air hammer, beat them off of the end of the U-joints there, and then if I could just get two off, I think I'll be able to slide my axles out. I'm going to rebuild my own U-joints. I am going to do all my own axle work. You heard me. I know. You said I shouldn't do it. I heard you. You gave good advice, but I give good advice all the time. No one listens to me, so I'm going to try doing it. I'm going to repay the favor. So, you know, I got two hands, I got half a brain. I'm just going to try it. If my axles blow up, they blow up. If it dies, it dies. So I'll learn something. And if they don't blow up, I will have saved a ton of money. Plus another Boy Scout patch, garage patch. You know, I rebuilt the automatic transmission, check. Rebuild the differential, maybe. We'll see. So in order to do that, I'm going to build my own housing spreader for the Dana 44. You don't have to get it out, but to get it back in and do all your setup correctly, it makes it a lot easier. I've decided to stay with my 354 gears because I'm running stock tires and a stock suspension. I don't need any more than that. And the cost of re-gearing when I'm keeping the stock setup, it doesn't really make sense. But what I am going to do is properly take apart my differentials, redo all the bearings, get a master rebuild kit, take my shim pack measurements, put it back together exactly as it was before, new crush sleeves, new seals. I'm also going to rebuild the posi unit in the Ford 9-inch, which should be interesting. In order to assist with that, I've bought a 6-inch vise to replace my 4-inch vise. The 4-inch vise just doesn't have the oomph to hold up anything that's substantial. A couple other things I'm doing is I'm going to get rid of my Harbor Freight parts cleaner. That thing is a piece of junk. It's basically a big kitchen sink with a pump that doesn't work on it, basically. You can't use solvent-based chemicals in it, and if you're not using solvent, there's a lot of things you cannot clean, right? You can't clean bearings, you can't anything where you need to make sure that every single molecule of it is out of it, you can't use degreaser for. You know, when you're cleaning the surface of something, no problem, but if it's got nooks and crannies, degreasers are very dangerous because they're water-based and they're acidic. So if you leave it in there, it might be curtains for that part. You got to use solvent. So I'm going to get rid of that, open up some room, maybe shift some stuff around in the shop. As I said, I'm going to try to paint my axles, rebuild my axles, paint them. I got to weld that pinhole leak on the 9-inch rear end and paint take apart my leaf springs, clean them up, paint them, sandblast all the other small parts that'll fit in my blast cabinet, paint those, and my goal is to have the suspension done this winter. The tricky part is I don't know if I'm going to be able to put out regular episodes, guys. I'll be honest. It's kind of tough in the winter to regularly record up where it's cold. And there's a few reasons. One is just naturally it's the holidays, so you got Thanksgiving coming up, you got family coming into town, Christmas. It's really the time to focus on family. It's also cold, so it's harder to work, and despite the heater or whatever. And then finally, I just have a lot of maintenance to do. The house needs some work. All three of my other cars, I know this is a massive first world problem, but the Jeep needs an oil change, no biggie there. The Scout has some serious engine problems. I don't know if they're serious. I don't know if I've got my carb not tuned right, but when I start it up, it starts up, and then as it's warming up, it goes chugga 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 chugga, and just thick smoke coming out the tailpipe. So I don't know if it's too rich in that in the warm up. I forget what it's called, the fast idle circuit or whatever. I don't know if it's too rich, and it's just dumping fuel into the engine, and that's what I'm seeing, the chugging and or if I've got oil accumulating in my pistons, and that's the process of it spitting all that accumulated oil out. So I wouldn't be surprised if I have some valve issues. I'll have to do a compression check on it. And then on the Chevy, I've got the hinges are sagging, the doors are sagging, so I need to replace the hinges. The steering is very sloppy, so I need to figure out if that's the steering box, which is an easy fix, because you just adjust that nut a very small amount and it should tighten that right up, or if it's my tie rod ends, which is a more involved repair. And like I said, the house, the chickens, the koi pond, my koi pond cover, which I have an episode that I built that koi pond cover with Mrs. Matt's garage, destroyed. I mean, it's like I'm shattered. A branch fell right on it. It destroyed the whole thing. It's completely not salvageable, and I am not a happy camper about that. But you gotta be thankful. Didn't hurt anybody. So it's the dangers of living under very, very large trees. Again, first world problem. Also a third world problem, but I digress. So thanks for watching. I'll see you soon, hopefully, on another episode of Matt's Garage. It won't be coming out tomorrow, which is Thursday, but I'll try to get one done this weekend. All right, guys? Have a great weekend. I'll see you soon.